Hello, Danny.
Hello. Yeah, my question is about Trevor Noah, of course, Saint Trevor of Noah. We've seen his monologue to the masses in the audience. I want to know, did Trevor Noah really say the entire UK is racist? Because we were talking about stretches before. I mean, I don't know.
So Trevor Noah, I don't think he did say the entire UK is racist, actually. He was talking about what he clarified afterwards, and he said... So for the people who don't know, he did this sequence on his show in America about this massive backlash against Rishi Sunak becoming Prime Minister, and he talked about all the incredible racist backlash. But of course, it didn't happen. There hasn't been any remarks about Rishi Sunak's race at all, really. So it was a weird kind of, for a comedic routine, it was weird because it was based on absolutely nothing.
He quoted one call-in on a radio show in London that was a bigot.
Well, you say that. The person he quoted, out of context, was actually a Hindu man, a part Indian.
You can still be bigoted.
Yeah, sure, but actually what he said wasn't bigoted, if you heard the full context. So
well, he played the quote, and it sounded pretty...
but like I say, out-of-context quotes do this, don't they? So there wasn't a backlash, was there? No. I mean, there just wasn't. So what? Just on a comedic level, it's a bit weak to do an observational set about something that never happened.
Yes, and then on a logistic level, it's semi-straw man, isn't it? You're pretending the thing you're about to fight against exists in at least a much larger form. Because we can't say there was no backlash in as much as I'm sure there's some WhatsApp group that's got someone saying a thing.
Oh, there must be someone somewhere. Yeah. Of course, And
this is where these arguments always end up going down the same path. So someone will say, some people are saying it, and the response is, the UK is not racist. Now, both of those sentences are true. Some people might be saying stuff in WhatsApp, and the UK is not racist. But unless you acknowledge that your side of this argument doesn't disprove the other one, you just end up shouting at each other.
I wonder if we can we hear what he actually said? Do we have that?
And what I mean by that is this. You hear a lot of the people saying, oh, they're taking over. Now the Indians are going to take over Great Britain, and what's next, and what? And I always find myself going, so what?
So it's interesting. I mean, I really haven't heard anyone saying Indians are taking over.
I think he's a funny man, and it would have been funnier and more important if he talked from his own prism, but also if he'd said what really happened, which was the backlash was in the U.S., where everything, including race, is an issue.
It's a much bigger issue there, yes.
And where the President of the United States mispronounced his name and pronounced it, in a way...
Rishi Sunak, I think.
Rishi Sunak, and made it sound as though he was potentially Muslim, which is even more racist because he's Hindu, so that's really the backlash.
Yeah, well, absolutely. If Trevor Noah had said, there's been a racist backlash and it's come from Biden, I think that would have been really funny.
Much funnier.
He's never going to do that because he supports the Democrats, right?
Yeah. In fact, maybe that is the area where he'd actually notice some backlash. He's not in WhatsApp groups of racists in the UK, one would imagine. I mean, that's a poor admissions policy if you've let Trevor Noah
he's in a bubble in New York, surrounded by incredibly liberal people that, I heard about this, and so they wrote a comedy sketch about it.
But can you imagine if a Republican president had said what Biden said? I mean, he wouldn't have let that go. That would have been the whole sketch, right? That would have been the whole thing. But I come back to this point, like, I hate that observational comedy when they're observing something that isn't real. And loads of stand-ups do it. It's like, when you go to the library, but you can't get to the crime section because there's an inflatable dinghy in the way. You know that? And you get stuff like that, and of course, it's never happened.
Speaking of an inflatable dinghy...
Actually, people did laugh. That's a bit weird.
Speaking of a dinghy, it's why I hated the film Titanic so much.
What? Why?
Because, oh, God, here we go. We talked about this before. Because on the ship were so many interesting stories. The film itself focused on a boring romance between a chubby girl and a guy who looked half her age.
OK, we are slightly deviating from the topic.